Good evening, everyone. Fáilte Uiribh Ula. My name is Mary Kidd, and I'm the director of the Saltire Society. Whether you're joining us in person tonight or on our live stream, it's my very great pleasure to welcome you to the Society's home here in the old town of Edinburgh in Fountain Close. As many of you will know, Edinburgh was the first UNESCO City of Literature and celebrates 20 years since this milestone this year, alongside the 900th anniversary of the borough itself. This small corner in which we come together has a rich heritage of publishing activity, and we look forward to adding a page tonight as we announce the shortlists for Scotland's National Book Awards 2024. For those of you in the room, there are no planned fire alarms this evening. In the event of an alarm, please leave through the door behind you, the only door, and muster in the close outside, not in the World's End or any nearby taverns. Please ensure also that your mobile phones are switched off. Now we turn to the core business of the evening, and I hope you will forgive me if I prolong the suspense just a few moments more. I would like to take you on a brief journey through the history of Scotland's National Book Awards, which are among the oldest in these islands. A National Book Award, it was then singular, was one of the first initiatives of the Saltire Society. The Society was founded in 1936 in response to fears that Scotland's unique cultural inheritance stood on the brink of ruin. 1930s Scotland was, of course, very different. It had weathered the Great War, followed by worldwide economic downturn, and another global conflict was on the horizon. No parliament had sat here for centuries. There was not yet any public body supporting the arts, no national theatre or orchestra, no broadcasting from Scotland as a nation. There is much progress to celebrate today, but we believe the need remains for an independent organisation to speak for Scotland's culture when it may be endangered, misunderstood or neglected, and to celebrate its great successes. Back in 1937, the first book award was presented. The recipient was Neil Gunn for Highland River. It's a book rarely matched in its conjuring of place, of nature, and of the life of the senses. It's an exciting novel, formally experimental, both of its time and transcending it. We recognise it today as a modern classic. The book awards were interrupted by the Second World War, but the roll call of later awardees includes many further iconic voices of Scottish literature. To name just a few: Edwin Muir, Alistair Gray, Edwin Morgan, David Dykes, Tom Leonard, Norman McCaig, Muriel Spark, Sorja Machgalein, Liz Lochhead, Alan Warner, James Robertson, Kate Atkinson, John Burnside, A.L. Kennedy, James Kelman, Kathleen Jamie, and many, many more. The Book of the Year was soon supplemented by categories recognising achievement in specific forms, with awards for fiction, non-fiction, poetry, debut work and more. The picture then becomes wider of the depth and range of practice of Scotland's writers, and we add many more names you will know to the roll of honour. Jim Carruth, Graham McRae Burnett, Jackie Kay, Leila Abu-Leila, Ali Smith, Sue Black and many more. The awards are only made possible through the passion and dedication of our judges. This year they number 26, of whom 4 are with us tonight. In a moment, I will invite the first of our judges, Mary Paulson-Ellis, the panel chair for First Book of the Year, to the stage to announce the first of our shortlists tonight. A reminder of the long list is on screen now, and I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the quality of work on all of the long lists and the difficult task that faced the judges in narrowing them down to their shortlists. I would also like to say an enormous thanks to our category sponsor, Creative Scotland. Will you please welcome Mary Paulson-Ellis?
Thank you, Mary, and it's really wonderful to be here this evening. Yes, I'm on the panel for and was the chair of the panel for the Best First Book award. It was a real honour, actually, to get to chair this panel, if only because it's such a wonderful mix of fiction, non-fiction and poetry that we were all reading. So I feel it's quite special, this particular category. I think it was such a wonderful, diverse category as well, not just in form, but in terms of subject and in terms of what the authors were trying to do with that. And it's been such a wonderful and interesting discussion to think about how do you decide, how do you compare within all of that. We were looking for not only accomplishment in terms of the author, but also surprise. Were we surprised by what we were reading on the page? I think, but ultimately, when we talked about what a best first book meant, it was about promise. That really mattered to us as a best first book. We also looked at authors, how they embraced the potential of the form they had chosen to write in and ran with it. Flaws and all, really, that excited us. And I think what ultimately mattered was, were we intrigued to see what they would do next? So, without any further ado, in alphabetical order by author, the first Book of the Year shortlist, sponsored by Creative Scotland, is Fragile Animals by Genevieve Jagger, published by 404 Inc. When an ex-Catholic woman develops a sexual relationship with a vampire, she is forced to confront the memories that haunt her religious past. Visceral, vivid, and lyrical writing, an ambitious literary debut. Remember, Remember by Elle Macrae, published by HarperCollins. A queer feminist retelling of the Gunpowder Plot. The passion behind this novel really resonated. It is an atmospheric debut with heart and ambition. Night Train to Odessa by Jen Stout, published by Berlin. A remarkable memoir of the war in Ukraine. This book is consistently enthralling, tender and often beautiful. We admired the way in which it eschews drama for quiet detail to tell the story of the human experience of war. The Old Haunts by Alan Radcliffe, published by Fairlight Books. A tight and controlled novella. We appreciated this work as a quiet and poetic exploration of grief and sexuality. We found it to be a subtle and confident debut. The Department of Work and Pensions assesses a jade fish by Nuala Watt, published by Blue Diode Press. Nuala Watt says, portrayals of disability as part of a fulfilling life, as opposed to an overwhelming tragedy, are rare. I couldn't find my life in poetry, so I put it into this book of poems. We loved the way that wit and humour meet serious and important subject matter in this intriguing, subversive and original debut. I give you the shortlist for First Book of the Year.
Thank you, Mary. I'll have the person who can't alphabetise, i.e. myself, fired later. Thank you very much to you, Mary, and to all of the panel for all of your work and care in considering the submissions and reaching a wonderful shortlist. And I'm really pleased to tell you that 3 of our first book shortlistees, Nuala Watt, Alan Radcliffe and Elle Macrae, will be appearing on 26th November at the inaugural St Andrews Book Festival London to discuss their work and the shortlist. And by happy coincidence, the remaining 2 shortlisted writers, Jen Stout and Genevieve Jagger, will also be programmed separately at the same festival. So if you're listening, especially from London and more generally the South, we hope you might make it along to meet them. We're now going to move on to our research shortlist, and I am deputising tonight for the panel for reasons of ease in the Gaelic language. We're very grateful to our research panels for tackling what I think we can fairly say was the heaviest reading, at least in terms of the physical weight of the volumes. The research long list is on the screen now. In reaching their shortlist, the judges sought work addressing gaps in scholarship and introducing new perspectives on subjects understudied and those we think we know. They were enthused by interdisciplinary approaches, including consideration of community history and archaeology and other forms of practice engaging with the past. They sought vision, coherence and clarity on the importance of the scholarship in each text. Of the shortlist, they said, these titles remind us of the importance of historical scholarship to the here and now. In alphabetical order, I hope, by author or editor, the research shortlist is Sarle mach gelein na vrieren hein, idde yissachog le madi shina, idde yissachog le madi shina chaimbal, jo nich goinch, agus isbal nich gelein, id eilshachog le achger. Han leor taringach is person the show, a torch co hickse is tukshe, id barst va kutrimach de chanen hein, is her stage in dual vote. Solly MacLean, in his own words, edited by Madishina Campbell, Joe MacDonald and Ishbel MacLean, an attractive and personal book offering insight into MacLean in context, both as a central figure of Gaelic culture and more broadly in world literature. Salt, Scotland's newest, oldest industry, edited by Christopher A. Whatley and Joanna Hambley and... Oh, I'm really not letting you have it too many times. James, where is it? I didn't lay the slides out. I just laid out Mary's notes, so that wasn't me. That one. I'm going to have to now ask for your help to come back because I can't see it, of course. Given its central role in sustenance, preservation, transportation, the coal industry and more, Scotland's salt industry has been a remarkably neglected area of study. This book draws on a range of interdisciplinary sources and on the contributions of community historians and archaeologists to address this comprehensively with astonishing chronological range. Right, talk amongst yourselves. Here we are. I believe, yes. England's Insular Imagining by Lorna Hudson, and that's Cambridge University Press and Assessment. A wonderful, highly developed volume, clear on the importance of the scholarship and critically on the questions it asks. The judges especially appreciated the crossover of literary and historic sources and narratives and the strength of the vision. The Afterlife of Mary, Queen of Scots by Stephen J. Reid, Edinburgh University Press. An unusually coherent edited volume on the material, literary, digital and cultural afterlives of Mary. This is a highly scholarly work with a strong rationale, ensuring it stands out in a crowded field and much of what it has to say is new. The judges especially liked the multidisciplinary approaches. Scotland's Royal Women and European Literary Culture, 1424 to 1587, by Emily Wingfield from Brapels Publishers. This is a highly scholarly, research-rich book and is very well written. Pan-European and cutting across literary cultures, history, book history, gender history and religious history, it should change our thinking on the role of women in European literary cultures across this period. I give you the shortlist for Research Book of the Year. Now, I'm sorry to say that our original judge announcer for non-fiction tonight, Anne Pia, was involved in an accident and is unable to join us. Anne, we miss you tonight. We hope you may be watching and we send all of our very best wishes for a speedy recovery. I'm delighted that Anne's colleague judge, Catherine Simpson, has stepped in at the last moment, and I will now ask you to welcome Catherine to the stage to announce the shortlist for non-fiction Book of the Year. The long list is on the screen now.
Yes, thank you, Mary, for that. And yes, I hope you're watching, Anne, and I hope you're feeling better. So it was a real honour for me to be one of the judges for the non-fiction Book of the Year. These titles aroused our curiosity, they moved us, and they made us question the assumptions we held. From the ways in which we looked at art to our reflections on our own past experiences, we can honestly say that we look at the world differently as a result of our reading. We were especially pleased by the range of subject matter. These awards do not take a narrow view of Scottish books, and we were pleased to shortlist writers born here, writing about Scotland or not, writers who have made their home here, and writers engaging with Scotland and her people from different perspectives. So, in alphabetical order by author, the non-fiction shortlist is Thunderclap by Laura Cumming, published by Chatto and Windus. An arresting, creative and richly layered memoir skillfully weaving authoritative interpretations of Dutch art with a touching account of Scottish childhood. The Unfamiliar, a queer motherhood memoir by Kirsty Logan, published by Virago. A powerful, punchy and provocative memoir for our time. Already Too Late by Carl McDougall, published by Lewith Press. A memoir set in post-war Scotland. We had a visceral reaction to this book about children's agency. It reads like fiction with affecting evocations of place and situations. Oh Brother by John Niven, published by Canongate. A cracking memoir with a dynamic momentum that interrogates sibling love and intimacy, nature and nurture with a blazing soundtrack. And Ian Fleming by Nicholas Shakespeare, published by Harville Secker. A gloriously elegant and charming biography and a rich account of the man and his time. I give you the shortlist for non-fiction Book of the Year.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you to all of the non-fiction judges. As we move to our penultimate shortlist, I would like to say a few words in acknowledgement of the fact we had a number of posthumous submissions to the awards this year. One of these was in the non-fiction category, Carl McDougall's, and two in the category of poetry. You can see the poetry long list now on the screen. The presence of the work of those we have lost made the process particularly poignant this year, and we look forward to celebrating them and their great contributions at a future date. For now, will you please welcome Robert Allen Jimison, poetry panellist, to announce the shortlist.
We perhaps had the easiest task, given that the books are shorter. 21 volumes. All of them had something going for them. All of them spoke to the judges in different ways. It was a very difficult task to reduce that number down to, firstly, the 12. And now, tonight, to give you only 6. In alphabetical order by author, the Poetry Book of the Year shortlist is Quickfire, Slow Burning by Jeanette Ayachi, published by Pavilion. We responded immediately to the energy of this collection, which is one of invitation, inviting the reader along as a fellow traveller on Ayachi's many journeys. Ruin Blossom by John Burnside, published by Jonathan Cape. A powerful meditation on life and death, the last collection of one of the masters of poetry in our era. Incisive, yet open, at times mysterious, but never mystifying. This is a wonderful, seamless reading experience. Mayday by Jackie Kay, published by Pan Macmillan. A beautiful collection marrying the personal with the public. In places we found it genuinely touching and rippling with Kay's distinctive musicality throughout. The Wrong Person to Ask by Marjorie Lotfy, published by Blood Axe Books. This is an assured collection which really delivers a powerful punch in its first pages. Poems about the experience of the refugee, and which in its subsequent section posits Scotland as the safe place, a welcoming place of healing. Three Births by Kay Patrick, published by Granta. All the judges admired this collection, finding it raw and unabashed, with a rich, layered, playful use of language and a compelling narrative. And the sixth, The Cat Prince, and Other Poems by Michael Pedersen, published by Corsair. We found this a very powerful collection, subtle, surprising, funny, combining playfulness with sharp linguistic focus. I give you the shortlist.
Thank you very much, Alan, and thanks to all of our poetry judges. All of our judges are poets in their own right, and they took tremendous care in reflecting on the work of the submitted writers. We now reach the final category of the evening, and I will ask you to join me in welcoming Lee Randall, panel chair, to announce the shortlist for Fiction Book of the Year.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to echo what Mary said. It really was an honor to be part of this. We had a lot of books. We had thousands of pages, and that's probably why there were 7 of us on our particular panel. You won't be at all surprised to know that we were looking for ambition. We were looking for dexterous use of language. We were looking for superb characterization. We were really keen on books that haunted us. They were so immersive that we could not stop thinking about them long after we closed the last page. And obviously a consistent level of excellence. So, in alphabetical order by author, the shortlist for Fiction Book of the Year is A Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein, which was published by Granta. It's a story of a woman moving from the place of her birth to a remote northern country to be housekeeper to her brother. This was a haunting book. It's about the sense of being outside, and it places a real burden on the reader to pay close attention as we move through a carefully and interestingly constructed narrative, which we found to be truly compelling writing. What Doesn't Kill Us? By A.J. Close, published by Saraband. This book was set in Leeds and Bradford during the late 1970s and is based around the Yorkshire Ripper case. We found this to be superb, evocative, and enraging. There was brilliant characterization, humor, and a huge sense of tension from this ever-present threat of violence. Clear by Caris Davis, published by Granta. Now, this was set against the backdrop of the Highland clearances of the 19th century. It is a beautifully written and intriguing book exploring ideas around communication with and beyond words. Tremendous fun, beautiful landscape writing, and a fascinating portrayal of unexpected intimacy. Lost People by Margaret Elphinstone, which was published by Wild Goose. Now, this was a very slim novella set in a dystopian future. We found this to be so affecting, so unpretentious, and yet resonant. The garden as a place of growth is central to the book, and it's an evocation. It's touching, it's relevant. It is a beautiful, slim volume, the classic slim volume. And then the last book on the list is called Hazardous Spirits by Anbara Salam. This was published by Baskerville. This is a Gothic literary mystery set in the 1920s. We agreed it was solemn, quiet, fascinating study of a man who was falling apart with a brilliantly evocative Edinburgh setting. So I give you the Shortlist for Fiction Book of the Year.
Thank you, Lee, and to all seven. As you say, you had by far our largest category in terms of page count, and you read a tremendous number of books and showed them all equal care and attention. So all that remains for me to do tonight is to thank you for joining us here in the room or online. I hope you will enjoy exploring the shortlists. For those of you here with us, we're going to open up the reading room and you can go in there and pick up a copy and have a look. And I hope the rest of you are making plans to make your way to your local bookshop tomorrow. And we very much hope that you will discover a work or an author or two who are new to you. We also hope you will discover some classics of the future. Our winners will be announced on the 28th of November 2024. Please do keep an eye on our channels ahead of that. Now, may I please ask you to join me in showing appreciation for our presenters tonight, for our first book sponsors, Creative Scotland, for all of our judges and their great efforts. And please also join me in congratulating our shortlistees for Scotland's National Book Awards 2024.